This interception before the end of the first half is when this game took a turn for the worse for the Broncos as they fall 37-12 to their heated rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Broncos Postgame Show. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Dalala. Sidney Jones will be along in just a second, but Eric, 5 turnovers in this game, just too much for this Broncos team to overcome.
Yeah, Phil, and quite frankly, those turnovers just made this game not competitive in the second half. Through the first half, the Broncos weren't perfect by any means. They still had a chance at the end of the first half, as you mentioned, to take the lead going into halftime. A touchdown gets called back by a Noah Fant holding call. Then Drew Lock throws his second interception of the day to go down at halftime. And really that's, Phil, when we saw the Raiders kind of take over in the third quarter. They had 2 really long drives of more than 5.5 minutes each. They extended their lead to double digits. And really at that point, the Broncos were just in a hole that, again, they could not overcome. And unlike the last few weeks, Phil, it really wasn't even close. They didn't have that same momentum toward the end of the game. And if you're the Broncos offense, you're kind of left wondering, where do we go from here after Drew Lock throws 4 interceptions, double the amount that he's had in any previous game of his young career. And then if you're the defense, you've got to figure out, why are we still allowing more than 30 points or more in the last 4 games in a row. And the AFC West point differential right now, Phil, minus 51 to the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders.
Yeah, a difficult game all around. The 5 Broncos turnovers, particularly noteworthy considering that coming into this game, the Raiders had only had 5 turnovers the entire season. So it's not like they were ball hawks coming in, the Broncos just giving the ball away. The other thing I noticed was the Raiders much more physical in this game, really beat up Drew Lock, and Lock even had some rib problems, reported on the broadcast there. Wonder about Drew Lock and his mentality and his physical shape now moving forward.
Yeah, and they were down some offensive linemen. Calvin Anderson made the start at right tackle. DeMar Dotson was available, but he did not play. And the offensive line, especially on that right side, struggled a little bit. Graham Glasgow's first game back from being on that COVID-19 list. Yeah, Drew just got hit a lot. Didn't look comfortable in the pocket at times. Was able to make a few plays. I liked in the first half that they were aggressive and threw the ball down the field. Didn't settle for just running the ball. But when they did have to run the ball, Phil, it just didn't work very well. Phillip Lindsay, 4 carries for 2 yards. Melvin Gordon, a little bit better, 11 for 46, but just not great at all. And then Drew Lock could not make the plays when he needed to, just a 37.3 quarterback rating. And when you combine that with a powerful Raiders rushing attack, they had more than 200 yards on the ground again. Josh Jacobs goes over 100 yards. The defense just got worn down in the second half, Phil.
Devontae Booker, 2 touchdowns as well, the former Bronco, now with the Raiders. The Broncos only ran 4 plays in that third quarter. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. They only had the ball for 1:32 in that third quarter. And the fourth quarter, there was no magic left to be had. The Broncos just never competitive in this one after going to the break there. Let's hear from Sidney Jones here with a post-game interview.
All right, we're checking in with Dalton Reisner after the Broncos' 37-12 loss to the Raiders. Dalton, how frustrating is it to lose like this to a rival?
Extremely frustrating. We know we're a better football team than that. And the thing that frustrates me the most, Sidney, is that it's the same old tune that I'm going to tell you, and it's that we're a better football team than that. And I'm sick of saying that. I really am. But I can promise you one thing, we're not giving up on, and I know myself and the rest of the team, we're not giving up on each other. We're not giving up on this organization. We're not giving up on anything. I know very well that someday there's going to come a point where we look back on days like this and times like this being 3-6, and we're going to smile looking back on those times and saying that's what made us who we are. So I don't want anyone to give up on us, and I'm not saying that, but I promise you it doesn't matter who gives up on us. As long as we stay internal and believe in each other, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, how do you stay so optimistic and stay so confident at this point in the season? And how do you kind of look at it to turn it around?
I look at my teammates. To be honest with you, Sidney, I look to Jesus. We're playing this game to glorify him. This is a game of football, and it's much more than a game. I don't think people understand that it's so much more than a game to us. This is our profession. This is our career. This is our livelihood. This is what we do 24/7. So we're not going to give up on that. And some teams might give up on it, but I'm sure as hell not going to give up on it when I got guys like Drew Lock behind me, when I got guys like Phillip Lindsay, when I got guys like, oh man, Von Miller, Cortland Sutton, Jerome Casey, Bradley Chubb, Melvin Gordon, Graham Glasgow. I'm not giving up. And I got too many guys in that locker room that count on me. We all count on each other. So Jesus Christ and my teammates, they will always be enough to keep pushing us through.
You mentioned Drew. I know you're super close with Drew Lock. What do you say to him to kind of keep him motivated and keep his spirits high?
You don't got to say a dang thing to Drew. Drew is so hard on himself. You can see it. He's a competitor. And it's a hard balance from keeping composed and being pissed. And I can see that in his eyes. I can see him battling that. I can see him battling, trying to keep composed at the same time, being extremely aggravated with what's going out there on the field. And I don't know what it's like to be a quarterback. I know if I was a quarterback, I would be awful. I know I'd be the worst quarterback ever. So I think Drew is a great football player. I believe in that man. I'm riding with that man till the day someone tells me I can't ride with him no more. He can't ride with me. I got all the love in the world for him. We've seen his capabilities. We ride so high as Broncos country when we get a win, and, we're the best thing that ever happened. So when we lose, we got to ride together still. It's not fun. It sucks. No one wants to accept it. We're embarrassed. We're frustrated. We're angry. But, we got to ride together when we lose as well, and that's what I'm really focused on.
All right, last one for you, Dalton. How do you guys regroup and, refocus this week to prepare for Miami?
We remember these times. We don't sulk in them. We remember how bad it sucked to lose to Atlanta. Remember how bad it sucked to lose today, how embarrassing that is. And we don't sulk in it, but we let that fuel us, and we stick together as a team. We ride together when we win, and the world is perfect, and we're smiling and laughing, and the fans love us. And go Broncos. The same thing for me right now. Go Broncos. I love the fans. They should love us. I love my teammates. We're not giving up. And I think that's the biggest thing from a teammate standpoint, from an organizational standpoint, and from a fan base, is that you lose together and you win together. And we lost today, flat out lost. But we're going to use that to fuel us, and we're going to keep working together because we know the wins are going to come.
Well, I know Broncos country will be happy to hear that. Dalton, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Eric, now the Broncos sitting at 3-6. A tough stretch here. They've lost 3 out of 4 now. Where do you think they go from here with a hot Miami team coming to town now?
Yeah, that's going to be tough with Tua coming in. He's 3-0. The Dolphins are 6-3. All of a sudden, that team that, a month ago it seemed like would be a welcome breath of fresh air for the Broncos to play is now one of the better defensive teams in the league. But they do have to figure out, the Broncos, what they're going to do on offense. And what is your identity? Because today, Phil, the Raiders knew they wanted to run the ball. They wanted to be physical. They wanted to, dominate time of possession. They did that in the third quarter. I still don't think we know what the Broncos want to be when they're at their best. But the rest of this season now at 3-6, you hope to string together wins. But a lot of this is going to be about what do you have with Drew Lock at the quarterback position? Is he the guy next year? And obviously you don't want to overreact too much to one game, but the Broncos are now 3-6 for the 4th consecutive season. You haven't necessarily seen them take that step forward this year, granted with a lot of injuries, but all eyes are going to be on Drew Lock and what the future holds at the QB position.
Eric, a lot of people keep saying, hey, these are just learning pains, growing pains for Drew Lock. The problem is you don't really see any of the growing coming after the pains. You're just seeing a lot of pain.
Yeah, and it's tough because you see guys like Justin Herbert and Tua and Kyler Murray in Arizona, they're finding success quickly, and so that makes it difficult to kind of stomach what we're seeing right now. And it's hard to say, Phil, how much could be turned quickly with just a little bit more time in this offensive system or a healthy Cortland Sutton or whatever that missing piece may be. It doesn't really matter. You got to figure out if Drew Lock is the guy that can be at the center of it all. Phil, the next 7 games are going to tell us a lot.
Yeah. A disappointing result on this Sunday, though, as the Broncos fall 37-12 against their rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that you hope to be competitive with coming into this season, and just a non-competitive game here on this Sunday. That's going to do it for us. For Sydney Jones and Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani. This has been the Broncos Postgame Show.